Hello guys, Tyler here today, and today we're gonna make lunch. Today we're gonna be making nachos, and yes, I know, nachos. What do you want to call it? Nachos, quesadillas. I really don't give a care. I'm not real big into Mexican food, and this is my stove. And now, before we start recording, I already washed my hands already before we start recording. Before we do this, now this is my oven. It's not as fancy as one of those new ovens, but still, it's one of those earlier versions of the flat top I needed to get. You can buy this thing. I'm not sure how much it cost. I bought it when it came to the house, and it's electric oven. Now it has broccoli. The years I have owned this oven, I only had to do one thing to it: replace the heating element in the stove. But before we start, I'm going to put this oven to 350. Now my oven is one of those earlier. My oven's a flat top oven, so I can put my hand right here, and there's a little bump there. My oven is electric. So first, let's get some aluminum foil. First thing I need is some aluminum foil. And you can get aluminum foil at any store you want to pick up at. I buy mine from the dollar store because I only use it for one time. Now where's that? Oh, there's my rolls. Whoops. So I got this rolling stuff I got from W-Star store. I prefer this over the sheets. Now you can buy this for like $1 at the dollar store, or just like $1.25 now, because dollar store is now $1.25. But yeah, you can get this at any store for like a couple bucks. Now, if you like nachos, the only thing I'm teaching you how to do is just do chips and cheese. That's nacho. That's technically classified as nacho. You can put sauce on your chips, but me personally, I'm a classic guy. I like cheese, and I just like cheese on my nachos. Now, you could do this with a microwave, but the microwave doesn't make it taste as good as it could. I mean, this recipe is really easy to do, and this is one of my classics I like doing. I've been doing this for years. I've been doing it now for a while now. After a friend told me, hey, the cheap version of this is get some tortilla chips, like I'm using right now. I'm using tortilla chips. I use tortilla chips. Now, the hardest part about doing nachos is what kind of cheese you want. Okay? That's the only thing you have to... That's enough tortilla chips. Now, it depends what kind of tortilla chips you want to use. I do have I actually like using tortilla chips because it works better. I prefer the scoops over any type. If you don't like, you can use any tortilla chip you like. Me personally, I prefer scoops. I know my kitchen is small, but give me a break. I have one of the smallest kitchens in the U.S. Since I own this house, I have been repairing the house off and on. I would die for more cabinets. Besides that, I love my house the way it is. I just wish we had a little more cabinets in this house than we have. We replaced the fish. We had replaced the fridge already. I had to replace the fridge. I had to fix the sink. I had to replace the sink fixture and the bathroom fixture already in this house since I own the house. Now, I like using Kobe Jack cheese from my local Meijer. I like using straight Kobe Jack cheese. You can use any type of cheese you want to use. Some people like using this type of cheese, some people like using another kind of cheese. Me, personally, I like using the whole bag. Now, that's the whole bag. And the way prices are, and this expires almost, so I had to use the whole bag because it expired in a couple more days. But yeah. My hands are already washed. I got me a clean towel to wipe off my hands of cheese residue, and that's pretty much covered up. So now I'm going to put these in the oven in a minute or two. Now, if you guys want to know something new, you can go online and find videos of people doing this too, but you can find videos of people doing some other stuff too with nachos too. Now, what about the salsa? You can add sauce to this now, or you can wait. I'm just going to do this so I can melt the cheese. Now, before you do this, make sure you have an oven mitt. If you don't have an oven mitt or a towel, you're going to regret that. I'm just going to off the bat. You can get burned from this. You can get seriously second to third degree burns. Me personally, I do have an oven mitt around here. I don't know where it is. I'm looking on the floor again. Oh, here it is. Under the chips and bagels. my oven mitt. Now you put the pizza, you can put this in there without using the oven mitt, but now if you want to do it like a normal person, you can preheat the oven. But me, I don't do that. So I have to get one more thing, and then okay. Now you can actually add cheese or something. You can add other things to this, but we don't need to add nothing to this. And this should be done in about 10 minutes. Now I'm gonna get myself a beer, my root beer, and a pop. Get myself a pop and a table. Well, that's why I gotta pack up. I gotta pack up at least two tripods. Oh crap! I gotta pack up a tripod before I go. I gotta pack up a couple tripods before I go too. Darn it! I haven't got about packing my tripod. Oh well, that's gonna happen in a couple weeks. So, watch it. I don't know. Let's start YouTube here. Driving a car from Washington to Miami. Here's on my there. Oh, it's like 266. Did you do that though this winter? No. Right now it's not a good time to do any of that stuff. Goldie. What? 42, 42, 42, 42. I don't understand that.
The iconic Route 66
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
from California to Illinois is one of the most famous.
I've been on 66 and Lincoln.
My dad and I have been talking about driving it forever, so we decided to make that dream a reality in June of 2019. The route is constantly changing, and so I figured that this video series would be helpful for those that want to look back and see what the route looked like during this time period. Also note that I tried my best to get all the correct facts in here, but I may have...
Yeah, I gotta figure out what tripod people
This
in
video
college.
is a combination of
I just thought of that, and then...
If you want a shorter video, you can just watch the individual states. Here's how our 2-week journey went on Route 66.
I would love to go there.
To begin our journey, we headed out to the Santa Monica Pier, which has become the official end or start point, even though Route 66 actually ended a few blocks east. For us, it was the starting point of our journey as we were heading east and our end point was Chicago. We photographed the famous sign and then made our way down to the pier. It was a Saturday, so it was incredibly busy and we had to wait for our turn at the end of the trail side. Starting our journey on Route 66, 24
No, cheese isn't melted yet. Here we got another 7 minutes left. Okay.
Photo with the sign, we walked all the way out to the end of the pier where there's a tribute to Bob Waldmeier, one of the famous artists from Route 66. If you're doing this drive, you'll find a lot more things about Bob Waldmeier all along the 2,000 miles of Route 66. And he's definitely one of the most iconic characters on the journey. From there was back up the pier and across the oceanfront walk area of Santa Monica to our next stop. It's just a plaque, but it's dedicated to Will Rogers, and Route 66 is known as the Will Rogers Memorial Highway. Plus, it's closer to where the official endpoint of Route 66 would be. Just left Santa Monica, got some of that great Los Angeles traffic, continuing on to our next stop. This is my dad, by the way. Well, Teddy?
I wish I could. Wait, Ty, you said you know Lincoln Highway. Yeah. Lincoln Highway, YouTube. You've been on Lincoln Highway. Your times. Hundreds of times. Yeah, actually. I've been on 66 maybe once. I've been on Lincoln Highway thousands of times. Hey, Dad, I've been there. There you have it. Huh? Sears Tower touches it. Sears Tower, Willis Tower.
Zach. His work-life balance is anything but balanced, but when he gets on the bike, he becomes Zig-Zag. And Zig-Zag rides with Geico because saving money and getting great coverage
Take your
is
hair
very
off.
chill. Geico, savings and services.
He's looking at 30 miles an hour down the interstate.
My dad taught me finally what he really meant was code switching.
Welcome to the next episode of Here to Help.
If the pandemic brings about the end of the open office, I think that will be a blessing.
I don't care about your fucking office life. I want a job and make some money.
This is a 1984 Nissan Patrol, and it's the lesser-known Japanese off-roader SUV. Everybody knows the Toyota Land Cruiser and the Mitsubishi Montero get some interest, but the Patrol was Nissan's rival to those.
Hey, it's getting windy out there.
It doesn't really get that much recognition. Today, I'm going to review the Patrol and show you all of its perks and features, and show you what
I want to get the cats in the house. I want you guys in the house.
Before I get started, big news, this Nissan Patrol is currently for sale, being auctioned live on Cars and Bids. This Patrol has
You guys in the house.
manual transmission and some cool upgrades and enhancements, and it's offered with no reserve. So, once you finish watching this video, click the link in the description below, head over to the live auction for this Nissan Patrol, where you can bid on it and buy it only on Cars and Bids.
Make sure all three of you guys are in. I see two kitties.
Alright, I'll talk the perks and features of Nissan Patrol with exactly what the Patrol is, because it's particular and a little unfamiliar to most of my North American viewers. Like I said, this was Nissan's rival to the Toyota Land Cruiser and the Mitsubishi Montero, which were popular 70s, 80s, 90s Japanese SUVs. I suspect
Montero sucks.
The Patrol is, it was never sold in North America. Even to this day, Nissan still doesn't offer a vehicle called the Patrol in the North American market. Throughout the 80s and 90s, you had the Nissan Pathfinder, and
Who's
these
gonna
days
catch
you
when she's
have
in
the
the house
Nissan
right now?
Patrol, but it's sold as the Armada. So the Patrol brand name just isn't really that well known here in the States. But there are many similarities to the Land Cruisers, the Monteros, the Defenders, the Broncos, other off-roader SUVs, including four-wheel drive. Of course, this vehicle has it, and it also has a two-speed transfer case, so high range and low range four-wheel drive.
Okay.
Added capability. This particular Patrol also has a manual transmission, which adds mechanical simplicity. It was kind of common in SUVs in the 70s and 80s
Why not the
because
house
of
now,
those
huh?
speed features. Now, another thing to note about the Patrol is it has kind of a similar trajectory to similar SUVs,
Let's stay
including the
warm.
Toyota Land Cruiser.
It's freezing out there. My feet are freezing. I should buy slippers.
It's kind of a military jeep. It looked like one, it was intended to resemble one and do the same things as one, and also like the Land Cruiser, it evolved after that to become more useful, more practical for
Hey, 2 minutes left.
purposes and offer more body styles and have stability and appeal. This particular model is a third generation model, and it was sold throughout the 1980s, basically 1980 through 1989.
Like the look of it.
Several body styles. You could get a two-door SUV, a four-door SUV like this one, a two-door pickup truck, or a Nissan Patrol fire truck, which is also similar to the Land Cruiser. There are a lot of Land Cruiser fire trucks out there, but you could also get a Patrol. So let's talk through the perks and features. One that you'll immediately notice, this Patrol is a right-hand drive. Pretty common since a lot of these were sold in Japan, Australia. This one came from South Africa, which is also a right-hand drive market. And so the steering wheel is over here on the wrong side for North America. And speaking of that steering wheel, one interesting thing about it is the horn situation. You have a horn button in the middle. You can see neutron with a horn. You press that and it honks. But you also have horn buttons on the left side, over on the right side, and below. So you have four separate horn buttons on the steering wheel. Not exactly sure how many people were honking in South Africa in the 1980s, but I guess that was an important component. Now, also in this car, you can clearly tell that it's set up for off-roading. Like I said, four-wheel drive with a two-speed transfer case, high and low gear, but you also have this grab handle, which the passenger was intended to grab onto and steer you off-road situations, so you can go flying. One other cool off-roading feature in here is in the center where you have the inclinometer, which tells you your pitch and roll at any given moment. A lot of Japanese SUVs had one of these in this period, although I I think that this one is aftermarket based on the images that it shows. That's not exactly a control. It's far less generic of an image you'd expect from the factory, but you do have that on there, which is a nice aftermarket touch. Also, a nice aftermarket touch here is the center console, which is an intended here. In fact, you can pull it right
Don't do that.
out. It's nice to have a little storage area in here and some cup holders because this car really come like that from the factory. Very basic old school SUV. Also worth pointing out here, one other nice feature, this has air conditioning. At least it would have from the factory. It's not currently set up in this Patrol, but AC in a vehicle like this is a nice comfort feature to have. They're otherwise rough and comfortable.
They're done.
You really don't find anything particularly exciting or unusual or interesting at all, except that
Now you're gonna come with me to the living room while I eat this.
my knees are right up against the seat.
It is cold outside. It's like 55. It's like 64 in here.
My name is Jack Stewart. In court,
No one cares about you, Jackson Stewart. So shut up.
Former employee of mine. All I know is I'm looking guilty of a crime I didn't commit. Do you think I killed him?
That doesn't matter to me. I think there's more to this story that he's not telling us. He cheated on his wife with her. The crime is murder, not infidelity. Everyone keeps secrets. But when I go to trial, I win.
Patrol has 3 rows seating. There's a 3rd row in back. This is a common feature now in SUVs, but it was tremendously uncommon in SUVs from this era. The Land Cruiser didn't have it. The Montero, I can't think of any that did. Vans offered 3-row seating at this time, but not SUVs, and that would have added some real practicality, a big differentiation point for the Patrol. The reason the 2nd row is a little tight is because they had to move it forward a bit in order to accommodate the space for the 3rd row. Now, in order to get into the 3rd row, you can only do it from the passenger side, which of course is the driver's side here in America. It makes things a little bit dangerous, but there's this little latch here. You pull it, and then the 2nd row seat goes forward, and that gives you access to your 3rd row in the Patrol, which was a really nice feature to have. And worth pointing out that when you climb into the 3rd row, again, not particularly interesting or exciting, but there is an ashtray mounted on the back of the 2nd row, so that 3rd row passengers could smoke. Because in the 80s, you didn't want to deprive anybody of the ability to smoke. Interesting, though, to see 3 rows seating in this vehicle add some practicality to a cool old school SUV. And next up, we move on to the cargo area, starting with accessing the cargo area, which is pretty simple. There's a little keyhole button back here. You push it, pop open the rear window, so you can put stuff in without opening the entire tailgate. But if you have larger items or want a lower load floor, just open up the tailgate, and then you're in. From here, you can see the cargo area, and there's actually some decent space behind the 3rd row, which is unusual even in modern 3-row vehicles. Usually it's pretty small, and here it's not huge, but it's there. So 3 rows of passengers and space behind. Also worth pointing out, this 3rd row can be folded if you want even more space, or removed entirely if you don't really need it and you just want a large cargo area. And next up, we move under the hood in the Patrol. These were offered with several different engines that you could choose from. This particular example has a 2.8-liter gasoline 6-cylinder, which was very similar to the engine used in the Datsun Z from this era. The difference was the Z got a fuel-injected version. This is a carbureted version, but otherwise same size and a lot of similarities. Interestingly, not that much power, 120 horsepower and 150 pound-feet of torque, give or take, and of course, that was back when this was new 40 years ago, but that's the powertrain in this Patrol. And finally, I want to talk about some of the off-road upgrades to this particular Patrol that seem to make it more capable off the pavement, or at least look cooler. Starting with this roof rack, you can stick stuff up there, very fitting with the boxy design of this. Go anywhere and take your stuff with you. You also have a snorkel, as you can see, which allows the engine to breathe even as you're fording water. To me, this looks like it's from a later Nissan Patrol, because the Patrol font seems to come from a later model, but either way, a Patrol-branded snorkel in this car. You also have all-terrain tires for better grip off the pavement, and these cool auxiliary lights, which can illuminate the world when you're off-roading, all adds up to a more capable Patrol. I also like the giant Nissan badge going across the grille in front. Toyota is known for this, especially in North America, just writing out Toyota in big letters. But Toyota apparently wasn't the only one who did it. Nissan did it too, and it looks just as cool and just as utilitarian. All right, driving the Nissan Patrol. And a quick thank you to Garage Collective for allowing me the space to film. It's like a cool San Diego car member community and car storage facility. You can check out Garage Collective by clicking the link in the description below. So thank you to Garage Collective. But let's talk Patrol. So, I mean, you know, the interesting thing about the Patrol is, like I said, not really all that well known here in the States, but very similar to a lot of vehicles that are beloved here in the States. Your Mitsubishi Montero, I mean, I think this looks a lot like a Mitsubishi Montero, especially in four-door form. A two-door Patrol looks a lot like a 70 Series Toyota Land Cruiser. They're very similar vehicles, too. I mean, boxy four-wheel drive, similar powertrains, similar time frames, it's all about the same. It's just that the Patrol isn't quite as well known. So, driving the Patrol, you can clearly tell very quickly that this is also very similar to Montero, Land Cruiser, etc. when you're out on the road. You have a very similar driving feel, driving position, the boxy, the plastic of the interior, it's all really similar. And you have a similar sort of powertrain. You have a gasoline 6-cylinder engine. It's kind of an eager little engine, very connected to the pedal. Like you press it, it revs very loudly and quickly, but obviously doesn't do a great job of moving this vehicle since it's not very powerful, and this is a relatively large car. Still, you know, you get what you expect, basically, is how I would describe the powertrain. It's honest, it's simple, it's basic, and that's that. Really, it does just feel like a lot of other 80s, particularly Japanese SUVs. I just drove K5 Blazer, and this definitely feels smaller and more maneuverable than that. It doesn't have the kind of boss, too big, too aggressive feel that kind of my Defender has. It's
Yeah. Never heard of it. Remember that one?